guys, it's Aoife from Words of Clover and I'm here to do the end of the year book tag. So we only have 2 months left of the year at the time that I'm filming this, which is at the very end of October. And yeah, I can't believe this year went by so quickly. And yeah, it's just absolutely mad to think that we're pretty much it's almost Christmas, like that's mad. So yeah, I want to do the end of the year book tag and talk about some of the books that I am planning to read by the end of the year, what my reading plans are like for next year at the moment. And yeah, I'm going to skip straight on into these questions, and I will leave the original tag creator, which I believe is Ariel Bassett, down below. And if you guys want to do this tag, go ahead and do it. I tag you. So question number 1, are there any books you started this year and need to finish? So for myself, I don't have books that like I would read for a long period of time. I normally only read like one audiobook and one either physical book or Kindle book at the same time. So I tend to go through them all pretty quickly. I don't have books that are kind of like lingering on my currently reading list for a long time. But at the moment that I'm filming this, I'm reading 3 books technically, which is actually quite unusual. So the book that I'm reading on audiobook is The Queen's Resistance by Rebecca Ross. This is the second book in the Queen's Rising duology, which is like a adult, kind of young adult to adult, kind of a transition kind of genre, I guess, when it comes to like our age bracket. Fantasy book, and I really loved the Queen's Rising. It was like a 5-star book for me, so I am looking forward to continuing on with the Queen's Resistance. But I will say the audiobook isn't very good so far, so I'm really hoping the audiobook doesn't, you know, spoil my overall enjoyment of the story itself. So yeah, we're kind of going to have to see. And like if I feel like it is, I will probably just like return it to the library and wait for the ebook version of it. So yeah, we will see. And then on my Kindle, I'm actually reading The Exorcist, which is definitely like a book completely out of my comfort zone. I very much like one of the original horror books, one of the big greats, I guess, when it comes to horror. This is basically about a family or a little girl who ends up being kind of possessed by a demon, and it's about her family and particularly her mother trying to figure out what's wrong with her in the first place, and then also trying to figure out how to help her. And this little girl, like this demon, is doing really horrible things to this little girl, and saying horrible things to other people. And yeah, it's definitely a really strange read. It is not an enjoyable read, I don't think, and I don't really know at this point in time what I will rate it, to be honest. It's definitely not my usual type of read, and I would have a lot of like thoughts about the author at this moment in time, about how someone can come up with these things. Yeah, it's interesting. So I'll see how I feel about it coming up to the end. But so at the moment, it's probably like a 3 out of 5 stars. And then the last book I'm reading, I'm only like a little bit of the way in. That's Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This is actually my first Stephen King novel, if you can believe that. But again, kind of Halloween-y time. It's the 30th of October at the moment. So yeah, I kind of was just really in the mood for the real kind of Halloween-y horror type books at the moment. So yeah, I picked this one up. I've kind of been leaving this one for a Halloween time on my shelves. I got this from a little free library near me. So yeah, I got it for the whole point of reading around Halloween. So far at the moment, I'm actually quite enjoying this. And I'm going to read a little bit more tonight and tomorrow. I don't think I'll finish this by the end of October, but I'll definitely be finishing it, I say, the first week of November. So, question number 2 is, do you have any autumnal books to transition to the end of the year? Obviously, we're like nearing the end of autumn, and we're kind of almost coming up into winter. So for me, definitely as kind of summer ends and autumn time kind of comes upon us, I definitely feel the urge to read more like thriller mystery books, and horror books, obviously coming up to Halloween as well. And then I find during kind of once Halloween is over, I wouldn't be as gripped to read horror books or thriller books. I'm kind of more into maybe I like to read historical fiction all year round, but definitely historical fiction is really nice, I think, around this time of year, particularly around November and coming up to Christmas. And then also things around like magical realism maybe as well, kind of more cozy books. And also then dark academia as well, which I'm actually not a huge fan of dark academia. Like I'm not, or like it's not that I'm not a huge fan, I'm just not as into it as like a lot of people on BookTube are. I feel like it's a real buzzword on BookTube, is dark academia. And for me, I kind of roll my eyes a little bit when I see people like just going on and on and on about dark academia. I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. But for some reason this year, I am, in particular at the moment, I'm thinking about what I want, the fiction books I want to be reading in November, and coming up to Christmas time is definitely like, for some reason I definitely am like more leaning towards a couple of dark academia. So I actually have a few lined up for myself to read. So I actually think I'm going to pick up The Secret History, which is like the original dark academia book by Donna Tartt. I think I might try and pick this up maybe November. And then I also have The Atlas Paradox by Olive E. Blake. This is the second book after The Atlas 6, which I read earlier this year. So I'm intrigued to see what happens after the first book. And then one of the first books I want to read in November is actually The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. I have had this book on my shelf for such a long time. My brother got it for me for my birthday a good few years ago, and I just like haven't gotten around to picking it up. And now the movie of it is coming out, and I'm like, well, I don't want to watch the movie without like reading the book. So I'm like, no, I need to read the book like as soon as I can. So I'm gonna try and read this. Probably one of my first books to read in November. So that is that is one of the priorities. Question number 3 is there a new release that you are still waiting for? There's none that I can think of, and I have put myself on my first ever book buying ban, and it's not even a book buying ban, but it's like not reserving or taking out any unnecessary books from the library, because I've kind of realised the last like month or so, I was like, my physical TBR and the books I have on my Kindle and from NetGalley and stuff, there's so many of them, I'm never like just going to make any headway if I keep getting more books. I need to actually read the books on my shelves, the books I have on my TBR trolley cart, the books that I've been asking for review. So I'm really cutting back on even at the books that I'm asking for review as well. I'm really kind of thinking like, do I really want to read this? Is this a priority read for me? Like, you know, is this like an author I've read before? Like, why am I asking for this? Is it a book that later on down the line I can get it from the library? So yeah, I'm really being really strict to myself at the moment. And now obviously like the next couple of years we're going to be saving for a wedding as well, so I can't really be buying a lot of like books and like, you know, unnecessary purchases in that way, in terms of, can I get it somewhere else? Can I wait a little bit longer for this book? Do I need these books right now? And just reading what I actually have in front of me. So yeah, but in saying that, all of that, there is one release that I am really interested in reading, and it is one, normally my brother comes to me around Christmas or my birthday, and he'll normally be like, is there any book that like is out that you would like me to get you for your gift? And if he comes to me this year, the one I'm going to tell him is Monaghan McGann's Listen to the Land Speak. Monaghan McGann brought out a book. He had a really lovely non-fiction book a couple of years ago called 32 Words for Field, and it was kind of this really gorgeous exploration into the Irish language and kind of the history of the Irish language and the connections of the Irish language with like things like the belief in fairies and the land and things like that. And it was just such a lovely book. So I'm really, really interested in reading his new book, which is Listen to the Land Speak, which is a lot more about, you know, I think the environment, sustainability, and also just allowing yourself to reconnect with the land around you, with nature and with the world, and knowing how he writes and how he thinks from his first book. I am definitely really interested in reading this one. I think it will be a lovely, lovely book. So that is definitely one of the books, is a book that I'm hoping that maybe I will get for my birthday or for Christmas this year. And if not, I can always get it later on down the line. So question 4 is 3 books you want to read by the end of the year. So one of them I've talked about is Atlas Paradox. This is one I kind of just want to hopefully read by the end of the year, because I did ask for it for review, so I hopefully will not be leaving it until the new year. Hopefully I'll be able to get to it over the next couple of months. Another book is one that I swear to God has been staring at me all year. It's actually really embarrassing. It's a historical fiction book set in Australia, and it is Moonlight and the Pearler's Daughter by Lizzie Pook. And this one, as you can see, has this absolutely most gorgeous cover. It is just been staring at me, and literally every month I'm like, oh, I must read that. Still haven't read it, so I'm really hoping I'll get around to this by the end of the year. And then another book is one that I've heard so many great things about. That's Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer. This was longlisted for the Booker Prize this year, I think, and because of that I've heard loads about it, but I actually already had it on my shelves because I had asked for it. It was a book I got from review from Book Break, and yeah, just everything I've heard about it sounds really, really good, so I do want to try and read it by the end of the year. And question number 5 is, are there any books that could shock you and be your favourite book of the year? My favourite book of the year is definitely Trespasses by Louise Kennedy, which I never stop talking about because I love it so much. I read that in March during the Irish Readathon, and so far nothing has topped it. It is just one of the best books. I just loved it so much. I would be very surprised if something does top it, but if anything would top it, I would maybe think The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. I don't know, but I do love Emma Donoghue. Even though the last book I read of hers, which was her latest release, was like a 2-star read for me. I really didn't like it. So I'm hoping I will like this. I don't know if it'll be my favourite book of the year, but we'll see. And then another one, again, because of everything I've heard about it, is Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies. I'll see what I think about this as well. Those are the two that could be potentials, but I really don't think anything will top Trespasses, because there was just something about it that just grabbed me and I just loved it so much. Then question number 6 is, have you started making plans for next year yet? And basically, as I've kind of said, it's reading the books on my shelves, reading the books I have in like bags around me, the bags on my cart, the things on my Kindle, the books I have on NetGalley. Like, I really just need to prioritize books that I actually own and books that I have, and not books from the library, not books that I can like ask for a review, books that I don't have yet. Yeah, just reading what I have. And then also, I'm always thinking, as soon as like the Irish Readathon ends, I'm always thinking about the next one. So I'm obviously already thinking about the books I would like to read during the Irish Readathon, the prompts for the Irish Readathon, how I can fit in different like books into prompts already, if those are the prompts that we decide on. So yeah, normally it's around like after Christmas time, myself and Leanne will liaise and kind of start talking about prompts and what we want to do, and start like getting excited about the readathon. So I'm already kind of starting to look forward to that, because it's definitely like my favorite time of the year. I definitely had a really big booktube slump after the readathon this year for quite a while. I don't think I'm even completely out of it yet, to be honest. And I think it's just the nature of booktube now. I just don't think I fit into it so much anymore, like just that very real aesthetic vlogs, and like, yeah, just this real, yeah, there's like just this real style and professionalism around a lot of booktube at the moment, which I just don't think is me. So yeah, but the readathon, the Irish Readathon, definitely just always gets me going and makes me really excited, and makes me really excited about booktube and everything that I can put out. And yeah, getting involved with people joining in and stuff is always just a really exciting time. So I'm really, really looking forward to that already. So that is it for this tag. Please let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any comments, please leave them below. Yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.